here with the game Dr. Spacezoo, or How I Learned to Stop Shooting and Save the Animals. Welcome, Jesse. How you doing?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. All right, so we're going to jump right into the interview here. I want to ask, how did you get into development? Like specifically game development, or did you start somewhere else?
Well, I started way back in the day. There was something called the demo scene in the mid '90s. It was all just like graphics and sound and art, like pixel art. Back before 3D was really even a thing. It was a bunch of people just showing how awesome they were at like math and coding, showing they could do cubes and spheres and other like shaders that we now kind of take for granted back in the day when it was all just like really math heavy, no GPUs really. It's all done on the CPU. So that was really what kind of got me into programming. I was doing like assembly and Turbo Pascal back in, I guess it was early mid '90s. And that's really what kind of got me involved in just programming in general. Game making has always been something I loved. I'd like to think that everybody gets into programming to make games. I mean, I don't think anybody gets into programming to make word processors. It's just one of those things. It's like, I've made a lot of big systems that were not games, and now I had kind of an opportunity to make games in the last couple of years, so that's what I've been doing in my off time. And I can't hear you.
Sorry there. How did you specifically get involved with SmashRiot?
Well, SmashRiot is just the company that I created to make games under. So it was just the name that I came up with 3-4 years ago whenever I started making games. My first game was for iOS. It was a shoot 'em up, and that was the name that I did it under. So that's what I'll be doing games under going forward.
Awesome. So from that, I see that this is kind of a shoot 'em up. Where some of your inspirations come from when creating games, and whether that be other video games or novels or movies or fictional characters, where did some of those inspirations come from?
Well, I mean, I've been playing games since I was a kid. I started with a Nintendo, and even before then, doing Atari and ColecoVision and all of this other, old school retro platforms. Looks like he's playing a really old version of the Dr. Spacezoo here. It's very shiny. But anyways, so I've always played Nintendo games, and the Super Nintendo were really, and even the Sega Genesis was really like kind of during my formative years of playing games. And that was really the kind of style that I really got used to. It's like really challenging arcade type games. And I always loved shoot 'em up. So that's what I kind of, made here with Dr. Spacezoo.
Gotcha. Back in the day, were you an arcade gamer? Did you frequently like visit arcades and play these kinds of games?
Growing up, my parents did a bowling league. So like me and my brother, we would go with them when they went bowling, and the bowling alley had a small arcade that had, I don't know, like probably 20 cabinets in it. I remember playing a lot of Gauntlet and track and field. But yeah, definitely played a ton of Gauntlet during that era. So that was, I guess I could kind of be like an inspiration to this. I mean, nobody's going to shoot the foods in this. It's going to be shooting the animals, but kind of the same thing, I guess.
Oh, of course. That's a great. So this game is specifically like a twin stick shoot 'em up. What kind of led you to make that genre, or make a game that was in that genre, specifically Dr. Spacezoo?
Yeah, so twin sticks I've always loved. Like, if you ever played Smash TV, that was one we played a ton growing up.
Fantastic game.
Yeah, big money, big prizes. So that was a game that we played a ton of growing up. So it's I guess that was always kind of creeping around the back of my brain. But this came out of a game jam I did back in 2014. So I think it was like a week-long game jam. I spent like just a little over 40 hours on it. And like what came out of that was like really kind of a distilled core for what this is today. Like the play loop was the same. You go in here, you save some animals, you fight your way back out. And it's obviously got 2 more years of polish on top of that now. But essentially it's the same as was created in that jam back in 2014.
Terrific. Let's see here. I see that, and you kind of mentioned, or slightly mentioned this, and I'd like to go a little bit more in depth. Kind of the 16-bit style. And you said you were a Super Nintendo and a Sega Genesis gamer. I know that kind of the inspiration came from there, but even still, like with space shooters and shmups that kind of come out regularly, there could have been a lot of other choices. Elaborate on why 16-bit was kind of your main choice for the artistic style.
Yeah, and really this only has 32 different colors in it, so it's a very limited palette. I'm a programmer first. I'm a pretty terrible artist. Well, I'll say middling artist. So I really tried to make a game that that I could make the art for. So really, that's what I went in kind of making this. I made a limited palette. I had a big chunky sprites, and I tried to really embellish on this art with modern shaders. So it's really like if you were to take this game and turn off all the lighting, all the effects, you get like the raw art, what it looks like, before all the lighting and shadows and shaders are all applied to it. Back in, I guess it was probably 2015. No, yeah, maybe it was like PAX East. Maybe it was 2014 PAX East. I met one of the artists I'd been following online, this guy, Khalif Steele, who's just an awesome pixel artist. I met him there and kind of talked to him for a little bit, and he's the guy that's he's taken all my programmer sprites and really made them awesome. So if you see something that looks like especially pretty in this game, that's definitely his handiwork. If you're like, that tile set could probably be brushed up a little bit, that's probably my handiwork. But it's really just like he's done really a great job with like taking my if you could see some of the art that I sent him and be like, I want the third stage octopus boss to kind of look like this, and he's taken that and run with it. Like a couple of the concept samples I've given him, and just like turned out astonishing stuff. And I could drop his link in the Twitch chat here just so everybody could kind of follow him and see some of his awesome pixels. He's done a couple other games
please
as well.
do. Of course, we love to support the artists when they are. Oh yeah,
my message was deleted.
We can have someone do that in a minute. Maybe
Okay.
Stylo, but we of course will get that link out because we want to support the artists that, of course, like helped you create this game. So I just noticed that you were at PAX East 2 years ago. On that same note, have you taken Dr. Spacezoo to any other gaming expos or development expos?
Oh yeah, I'm a big fan of. I try not to travel too much. I mean, travel's expensive. I'm not making a ton of money on this thing yet, so I try to do a lot of local stuff. I'm in the Washington D.C. area, and there's a really pretty vibrant community here as far as games go.
Yep.
We have like the Smithsonian's been hosting an indie arcade the last 2 years, which is just amazing. And I've shown this at the last two MagFest, if you know what MagFest is. MagFest is a gaming convention here, and it is by far my favorite convention ever. It's like I just love the vibe of it. It's 24 hours a day for like 4 days, so it never closes.
Nice.
Like if you've ever gone to PAX, like how it cleans out at 6 o'clock and everybody goes their separate ways. This at MagFest, it just they turn on nighttime concerts and everybody goes to the concerts at night. It's just it's wonderful. And I left my game up for 24 hours for the entire duration. So like I'd come by at like 2, 3 a.m. People would be 2, 3 guys would be playing my game, or it's kind of neat to see that, like seeing somebody play your baby from a distance.
Yeah, of course. That's terrific.
So it's I try to show it wherever possible. I mean, it's like that's where I'm going to get the biggest leaps in any kind of UI or tuning and stuff that needs to be done. It's like you got to get this in front of as many people as possible to really, watch the reaction, see where they're getting hung up on, what can be improved as far as gameplay goes. Really, the 4-player co-op is something I added. I guess it was late last year. I spent probably a good month adding that in. It wasn't really designed from the get-go, but it was one of those things that was kind of gnawing to the back of my brain that I really wanted a 4-player co-op in there. So like adding that in there and then take it to one of the local IGDA meetups and just having, three people play it there was just amazing, just to see the chaos that this thing brings when you have, 3 or 4 people in it. But yeah, definitely showing it to as many people as possible is it's always a big boon during your development. So it's like whenever I show it, like that next day I come home, I've got a big list of things that's usually it's a pretty easy list of things that I need to tweak, but it's always a good leap in usability and just makes the game better.
Yeah, of course. Having, developmental testing is always a great thing, especially with games, because it only allows the developer to get more polishing and fine-tuning in there when necessary.
Oh, yeah.
So
go ahead.
No.
Oh, yeah, so I'm a big firm believer in, like, I've put this out in a lot of places. It's been like a soft launch. I put it on itch.io, like pretty much from day one. As soon as I had a playable build of this thing, I had my game out there for people to play, and it's been downloaded a bunch. I've slowly rolled it out to other platforms, but like for these people that are playing it in their own offices or couches or whatever, I'm a big firm believer in analytics as far as like seeing like how they're doing, like how far they're playing. Are they killing all the animals in the first mission and then getting confused as to why they failed, even though it's in the title that they shouldn't be killing animals? It's just one of those things. It's like analytics has been a good boon as well for kind of watching the play testing that I couldn't see in front of me. So it's like even though people are playing my game for free, like if they're on Game Jolt or Newgrounds, I'm still getting some data from them and able to make actionable differences to the game based on strangers playing it that I'll never see. So it's
Yeah,
definitely playtesting is very key to any kind of game development.
without a doubt. I have, on that same note that you said that it took kind of a little bit to add the local multiplayer. I've kind of noticed with games that have been released lately that there is kind of like a decline of local multiplayer. Now, like with development of new technologies and have everyone virtually having the internet, it makes it a lot easier to have actually online multiplayer games more accessible. But with that, like I said, we do kind of see the decline of local multiplayer. What kind of made you choose to add in the local multiplayer? I know you kind of lightly just touched on how long it took, but was it difficult to add, and how long did it take exactly?
So yeah, so I mean, as I said, I grew up playing like I can't even talk, local multiplayer games growing up. So like all the Nintendo games, all the Sega games are all local. So like when I'm playing Smash TV with my brother, it's like we're playing together. So it's like I've
Right.
always really kind of enjoyed what the camaraderie of being able to yell at the person right next to you on the couch for doing something dumb or for stealing your coin or shooting the food, whatever it is. I always like the social aspect of that. So really, it's once I kind of got in my head that that was something that I wanted to do with this game to take it from a single player game to a multiplayer game, just to kind of allow people to experience the chaos together of trying to save these animals. It took me probably about a month of just reworking the engine. And unfortunately, it's like I would like to have done like online multiplayer, but that's really something you need to do from kind of day zero to kind of build your game with that in there. If you go to shoehorn it in later, it's there's a lot of assumptions that were made during the development that really wasn't conducive to having an online state. So it's
Hmm.
a co-op is easy because it's all running on the same instance. Everybody's like I don't have to worry about prediction or any of the kind of online troubles that you get with making an online game
Yep.
because everybody's local, everybody's using the same client, and it wasn't easy, but it was definitely worth the time.
Oh, excellent. And I guess with that too, on your opinion, do you think that there has been kind of a decline with games having local multiplayer? And just kind of your opinion about that in general.
I don't know. I mean, I see games that do have like I think it's like a checkbox that you need to have online multiplayer for certain kind of games. But I don't know, a lot of the games that I play from the local developers are like a lot of them do have like local co-op, and I think that's pretty awesome. I mean, it shows really well when you could go to a show and have, because usually people run in the pack of like a couple of people. So if you could get like their whole group to play your game at once, that's going to create a stronger impression than one person playing and three people kind of just watching from the outskirts. So I think it definitely shows a lot better. I think it's totally worth the effort just to get more people playing, more people having fun together, and sharing that same experience.
Yeah, there's a definite socialization aspect, or social aspect, I should say, that's there with local multiplayer and makes it a lot more fun for people to come together and play games. I completely agree with you there. All right, let's see here. I guess going on to talk about a few of the game modes, I noticed specifically on your website, you mentioned that there is a boss rush mode. That sounds really fun. What does that entail, and what exactly, what makes it fun?
All right, so let me talk about the kind of just talk about the modes in general, and then kind of go into what boss rush is.
Please.
All right, so there's two base modes. There's a story mode which has like the level that's on Twitch right now is the challenge mode of the story first mission. So this is kind of like the cap of the demo whenever I bring it to a show. It's like they played the first mission, but here's kind of a really hard level for them to show me how great they are at the game. So like in the game right now, this level doesn't exist. It was just too hard a difficulty to keep in the game. So it's like the story mode is the first mission, which is all handmade levels, and then missions 2 through 5 are all procedurally generated. There's also an action mode, which is just it's essentially the same as story mode, but there's no story, and all 5 missions are procedurally generated. So like if you play through the first mission of story mode and you wanted to play some more, you could just do an action mode with a different seed, and you can play a different, completely different set of levels to have a different challenge. And that's the only way I've really been able to sanely play this game over 2 years is that I can load up a different seed every day and get a different level. So I'm not just brainlessly running the same level every day when I'm testing. I'm always getting a new level, and it also kind of allows me to tweak the procedural generation a little if I see something odd or something neat.
Hmm.
But kind of
Hmm.
getting back to like why Boss Rush came to be, when I had been showing this at MagFest and Smithsonian and the other local events, the first mission had really gotten a really awesome beating as far as like showing it to people. Like I had had thousands of people play this first mission. It's pretty smooth in that respect. But like a lot of the bosses, like people really hadn't fought my bosses past like the second boss. So really, it was a mode that I kind of put together to like when I was bringing it to Magfest this past February, I guess it was. I really wanted to have people stress test all of my bosses. So I put Boss Rush out there. I gave them all the weapons, all the unlocks, and said, "Here's every boss in the game." I think the Mission 5 bosses weren't in at the time. I was like, "I want you to, when people come up, I said, you've played this game before, or you're pretty good at twin sticks. Would you like to try my Boss Rush now?" So they would go through and fight the Mission 1, 2, 3, 4, I believe was in, and then I'd start throwing tag teams at them. So I'd have like two random bosses that would come in. So if they got like the third boss, which is the octopus, and the fourth boss, which is the AI. It's kind of a rough pairing.
Yep.
So I got to see like some good combinations of people, like how they would try to take down these bosses, and really it was more of a way for me to kind of see how they would cheese my bosses. Like in a way, like could they hide behind a pillar in one spot and just snipe at it while it wasn't moving towards them? But it was really Boss Rush was a way for me just to get a really good amount of playtesting on my bosses during the last big show. So in that respect, it was well received, and it was just one of those things that I was like, I probably want to keep going with this. So I put the last once the Mission 5 bosses were done, I added those to Boss Rush, added a couple more tag team levels after that, and just polished it up a bit. So it's a pretty fun mode, and I enjoy playing that. I did some scaling on the bosses, so like when you go to the first boss, which is the feeder, when you're fully powered up, you're really overpowered for that guy. So all the bosses kind of scale up to what your power level is. So that first boss is still going to provide a pretty good challenge, as will the fifth boss. So I like playing Boss Rush in that respect because it's a good challenge for all these bosses, and it did a good thing for testing.
That's terrific, and it's kind of, killing two birds with one stone because, once again, just like you were talking about when you were back at PAX, creating that Boss Rush mode not only gave you an extra mode for your game, but it assisted in playtesting through just regular players that just helped you kind of do, once again, the polishing and fine-tuning for the end product.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
Go ahead.
And that was at Magfest. So
And at Magfest, excuse me.
It's definitely it was well received. People enjoyed playing it. I didn't really offer it to everybody that came up. There was a couple of people that maybe didn't have a good grasp on the first mission, and they wouldn't have done well in Boss Rush. But the ones that really got into it, those are the ones that I really enjoyed watching play it and really just tear apart all the bosses. And they had for the Magfest, they had a thing where they had challenges. So like every hour, a different indie that was there had a challenge mode for their game. So in mine, it was the trash boss, which is the octopus on the third level. It was the fastest one to beat it. The top 3 fastest got Steam keys and some cash for the Magfest merch. So that was kind of fun seeing how people ended up cheesing that one at the end, like what the proper combination for that was to take it down really quick. So
Yep.
it's also been fixed.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Another thing I noticed on the website and kind of observing the game too is that there's going to be a daily Spacezoo challenge. What exactly will that entail?
So that's been in for probably over a year now. So when you unlock, I think it's the 5th mission or the 6th mission fifth level on mission 1, there's a daily challenge that'll come up. So it'll be it's a rotating seed of like 5 different levels. So it's like you'll have a class 1, which is like a mission 1 kind of difficulty zoo, and it'll be procedurally generated based on the date. So everybody's going to play the same one. So it'll rotate through like class 1 to class 5. So over a 5-day span, you're going to see the easiest to the hardest that the Dr. Spacezoo is going to offer you. So everybody will play the same one. There's a shared leaderboard for that, so you can see like who did the best for that day. And I really like dailies. I think it's a good way of getting people to keep playing your game. I like the challenge aspect of, on this day I was the best Dr. Spacezoo. Just the whole, playing the same seed that nobody's seen before. You only get one chance at it. So if you fail that, it's done. And that's also like I don't know if you've seen, but the permadeath mode just got added on Saturday, so yesterday.
Oh, please explain
that. I just put that live. So it's a truncated version. So the main game is let's see, 5 missions at like 6 levels each. I think the permadeath mode is 4 levels for each of the 5 missions. So there's 20 levels altogether. So you get, as it says, you get 1 life. You start with just the laser. In the main game, all your secondary weapons are unlocked by saving animals and killing enemies via research that Winston the cat's doing. But in permadeath mode, it's instead of getting the normal power ups that you see, like the animals will drop power ups, enemies will drop power ups. There's a small chance that they're going to drop secondary weapon drops. So you might have, like from the very beginning, you might get the shotgun, which is probably my favorite weapon in the game right now. It's probably the most useful.
Gotcha.
And then like you'll go through the first mission with maybe you'll have a secondary weapon by the time you hit the first boss. Maybe you won't. So it's been a good thing for tuning the weapons. I had a couple defensive weapons that really weren't very viable in permadeath mode, and those recently got updated. So they're maybe a little bit overpowered right now. We'll see how they play out. But yeah,
Right.
I like like when I play the game now, I'm playing permadeath mode just because it's got a lot more tension. I know that if I mess up once, I'm dead. The boss that's on the stream right now, the feeder, you're going to hit him a little bit more underpowered than you would if you're playing like the story or the action mode. So it makes it a little bit more challenging, and maybe you won't have any kind of homing bullets to kind of get him around pillars. So it's definitely a harder fight. If I'm going to fail, I'm usually going to fail on that boss for permadeath mode. But it's a
Gotcha.
lot of fun. I enjoy the tension of it.
That sounds amazing. It's great that you have multiple game modes and that the game, is only, if I remember, it's like $6.99, which is a pretty fair price too.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
so it's as far as my pricing goes, it's always been. I mean, I started at I think $0 back on the very first release of it. So it was
Hmm.
it's been on itch.io, which has been really wonderful as far as like getting some early sales that I would then pretty much give the money to my artist. But really, it's as it's become more feature complete, I've been bumping up the price. So it's so right
Gotcha.
now I think it launched on early access at $6.99. When I get a couple more Steam parts of it done, it's going to be bumping up to $7.99, and the
Nice.
target price is somewhere around $10. I think for $6 or $6.99 right now, it's for the amount of replayability. I mean, I'm a little biased in that I've been playing this thing for 2 years now.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's still the procedural generation still surprises me and keeps it fresh. I'm not sick of it yet, so that's good. We'll see if
Yeah.
I can find somebody else that's played it for 2 years for thousands of hours, and I'll buy them a beer, I guess.
Of course, no matter where they are, you will buy them a beer.
Yeah, I'll
Fly
send
to
it.
them and buy them a beer, or send
I
it.
don't know. Yeah,
Mail
we'll have FedEx do the work for me,
it.
or ask the same question again.
Yep.
I'll see if I can give you a
It's
similar answer.
All right. Sorry about that. Just small delay there. So the question was, do you have a particular affinity towards animals? And once again, it was a kind of. Did you think it maybe was a fun theme? Do you actually like animals? Once again, are you a PETA member? Whatever
Oh
it
yeah.
may be.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, who doesn't love animals, right? So and this it really started off with as far as the game jam goes, it was the original idea. I don't think there was really a theme for it, but I just wanted to make a precision twin stick that you couldn't just kill everything that moved, and the animals was the goal for that. So it's this is taking place in the space zoos, and of course, there's going to be nice space animals that you're sent in here to capture. So really, those animals provide the reason for you to let off the trigger every now and then to try to be a little more tactical as far as approaching rooms and shooting enemies. So like the laser will do a ton of damage. When something explodes, it's just going to continue right on through them and usually blow up whatever animals are hiding behind that. On the Twitch stream, you'll see using some of the different homing bullets. There's the drunken homing missiles, which just kind of fan out like the old Autonomous Circus, and they just light up everything that moves. So they'll just do a ton of collateral damage. I don't know. I just really like the animals as far as the carrot as to kind of turn off your beam for a second, pick up what you need to save, and then just light up the rest that's behind.
Mhm.
So when you're going through the game, your goal is to save one target animal. So the good Dr. Spacezoo sends you in to save a cat or a space bee or whatever weird kind of creature you're supposed to save. So once you save that one target animal, your job is to either rescue the ones that you can, which you'll get points for, and also some research unlocks for saving animals. And then any that you leave behind are starved. So the whole idea of this is that the AI that runs these space zoos has stopped feeding them, and it's your job to save them and find out why and try to fix it if you can.
Oh, okay.
So really, that's the overall story arc for it, and the animals just serve that secondary goal of you also want to save these if you can. You'll be rewarded for it with weapon upgrades and some other unlocks.
Gotcha.
In permadeath mode, it's definitely important to pretty much clear the animals, just because unlocks are going to be a little bit lesser, and you want to have every animal that you can just to kind of boost up your core stats a little bit. And also, I don't think you can see on the levels he's playing on Twitch right now are a little bit older. It's an older version, but we have a chain mechanism that, like, for every animal you save, your chain is going to go up by 1. For
Gotcha.
every enemy you destroy, it's going to go up by 1. But as soon as you shoot one animal, it resets back down to 1. So the benefit of this is that chain is your score multiplier. It's also giving you a slight increase to all of your core stats. You're going to take less damage. You're going to fire faster. You're going to do more damage. So it's really in your benefit to build up your chain as big as possible and to not kill any animals. So
not kill any of the animals.
Yeah. So I mean,
we want to save them.
Yeah, animals are gonna have a bad day here, but we're gonna try to save as many of them as we can. I mean, it's in the title.
And that's kind of great too, because the more I think about it and the more I look at this game, this is obviously kind of an all ages game too. So, anyone from age 4 to age 99 can thoroughly enjoy this game if they enjoy twin stick shooters.
Yeah, there is a ton of pixelated blood in gibs. Like, if you notice, like, every animal that explodes is going to explode into a head and then some component parts. So my kind of sick satisfaction is, like, when the cat explodes, there's going to be a head that spins off, and its head is my favorite of all the animals. That's like just one of those things. It's like it still provides me joy after seeing it, for thousands of times. But yeah, so I mean, it's definitely been played by. I've seen when I was showing this at the Smithsonian like 2 years ago. There's a little girl came up. She didn't say a word to me. She just started playing my game. She played the first mission pretty much passively. Like, she didn't do any damage to any animals or to any enemies for the entire way. And it's like, I didn't think it was possible, but she got about as far as she could with playing it completely passively. But for the most part, yeah, I mean, you want to try to minimize damage to animals and take it out on the enemies that are trying to kill you.
Mm-hmm.
But mistakes will be made.
Yeah, of course. And games like this too, which this game is kind of also it almost has kind of a mix of bullet hell elements too, for surely, and kind of that mix too. It is interesting to hear that such a young girl did that and kind of got as far as she did, because you kind of expect, like, no, shoot them all, save as many animals as you can. Yeah. But no, that's not necessarily true. You've given the player the capability of completing a level with multiple options, which for a game as simple as this one, that's really incredible.
Yeah, so I mean, as far as, like, you could probably do all the levels except for the boss levels. I mean, later on, the strategy is that you want to pretty much clear as you move on. If you get too much enemy hate trailing you, it's not going to end well. The first mission you could probably do that because there's not a ton of enemies that are going to do a lot of harm to you. But yeah, I mean, as far as the bullet hell aspects of it go, I mean, I love bullet hells, and really all the bosses are kind of designed to be around that. Like, the first boss that you see right here that he's shooting he's got a 3-phase pattern. So he's got the white dots that's coming out on Twitch right now are the milk bullets, because he's a feed bot. And then he'll shoot the tracking bullets after that, and then he'll have the pain mode, which is like the fast firing after that. So it's I definitely try to make more traditional. I guess it's not really traditional like bullet hell, but I definitely want to have a lot of bullets, a lot of patterns. It's a physics-based shoot 'em up, so everything's going to kind of tweak as to how it moves and react to its environment. So when things blow up, it's going to move things around it. There's a couple later weapons that will kind of move bullets out of the way a little bit. So like if you get pretty pinned down, it'll knock bullets and enemies and animals out of the way. And that's one of the ones that really got tuned up to do a lot of damage. So it pretty much will blow up everything in its radius. But yeah, love bullet hells, and this is what I'm trying to channel with this.
This is an extension of one through also being a twin stick shooter. I get that. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. So final question here, and really, excuse me, I have a couple more questions. My mistake. I noticed in the game, it's the year 2143. I always kind of have to ask this question with everyone that does any kind of space shooter or futuristic game, is that we are now in 2016. 2143, although over 100 years, realistically isn't too far away. Did you have a particular reason you chose that year as the setting of your game, or did you just kind of pick a random number, or was, once again, there a book you read that you really liked and you just really liked that year?
Probably a little bit of being, I mean, just think of how far we've come in the last 30, 40 years with the internet and technology as well. I mean, if we're talking the acceleration of that is 2143, it's pretty close. I think we'll have several leaps of technology before then. Hopefully, we're spacefaring by then. We'll see if that's the. I mean, I won't see that. Probably my daughters or my daughter's kids. But really, the date was chosen more of a kind of random date, and also that it was still near enough to where it's plausible that we have some AI running space zoos with a bunch of weird space animals in it.
Right, space zoos.
The whole, yeah, we'll see if that comes to fruition, right? We got another 130 years to make those space zoos happen. Got to get Dr. Spacezoo Industries working on that.
Got to get it. Oh, that makes sense. So with that too, the kind of the Doctor Strangelove kind of quote that you've mixed into the title, how I learned to stop shooting and learn to love the animals. Are you like a Kubrick fan, or do you
Oh yeah,
specifically like that movie a lot?
yeah. I mean, he's probably my favorite director and filmmaker. Definitely, I love Doctor Strangelove. It's Peter Sellers does an awesome job in it, and just like the whole character of Dr. Spacezoo is kind of loosely based on Dr. Strangelove and also Professor Farnsworth. So from
Yeah.
Futurama. So
Yep.
so he's supposed to be like kind of a brilliant, untrustable eccentric. So it's like, in Dr. Strangelove, he's this old ex-Nazi rocket scientist that is brilliant and totally untrustworthy. He's not somebody that I'd really want to have on the other side. I guess he's doing a better job on our side, but so in that respect, like we have Dr. Spacezoo, which kind of channels that as far as the research of the AI and these spacesuits, and then his cat Winston in the game is the PhD in astrophysics, so he does all the weapon research, and that's where the story for this goes. So it's when you'll see that the cat popping up, that's Winston. So he's the other main character in this game.
Oh, that's
And
fun.
right now, the story for the first mission is pretty much done. I've got the outlines for the last four. I haven't put it in a game yet. It still needs to go through another pass of dialogue and all that just to make sure it works out. But yeah, I'm hoping people. I'm really wanting to see some let's plays in the last two bosses of the game, just to kind of see how that works out.
Yeah,
Because
the
they're
let's plays would be very good for this type of game for surely. All right, I guess another question I would want to ask is, do you actually like own any animals? Do you own any dogs or cats that gave
oh
you
I,
inspiration to
oh
make the
sure.
game?
I mean, I don't know that any pets were really inspiration for making the game, but yeah, I mean, I have a
You never
cat.
know.
Yeah, so I mean, I used to have an orange cat that kind of vaguely resembled Winston, but I don't know that in any particular way that's what I was based on, past cat.
It was
So yeah,
just a fun theme to use.
yeah, really, it's the whole theme came from. I mean, as I said, I did this for a game jam, so I spent about a week on it, and really, I had kind of a weird space shooter kind of prototype, and I was like, well, I got to come up with a name for this. So I, spent like a little bit of off time when I wasn't programming the game to kind of think of some names, and I was like, yeah, we could do a riff on Kubrick to see how that works out. And really, like once I kind of had the title for it, the rest of the game just fell right in. Like all the little kind of mysteries that I had, like I don't know what I want to do with this aspect or whatever. It was all just kind of resolved like once I had the title.
Wow, that's terrific. Usually, it kind of works the other way around, and it's interesting that once you had the title, things kind of fell into place. That's really
Yeah,
great.
I mean, it's like, it's like, why are you in here? Why are you saving? I don't even know if it was animals at the time that you're supposed to be saving in these zoos, but like once we had the title for it locked down, I was like, yeah, it's we're saving animals in space zoos. Let's go to the hilt with this.
Awesome. Well, your game looks really great. I'm going to be excited to pick it up and play it whenever I get the chance to. I do want to ask Jesse, do you have any final thoughts that you'd like to add about your game? Anyone you want to mention, or anything specifically you want to mention?
I mean, apart from my awesome artist that's taken my pixelated scratchings and turned them into beauty. No, I mean it's pretty much a solo endeavor. So I've done all the other aspects of making the game. Making music is it's not something that I do a lot. I mean, I've always loved making music back from the demo scene, like making tracker songs and stuff. But like
Mm-hmm.
I've done all the music and audio and as much art as I can. But yeah, really, without Khalif making some awesome art, I don't know that it would be the same game that it is today.
Gotcha. Gotcha. All right. Well, that concludes our interview. I want to thank you again, Jesse, for coming in. really appreciate you taking time out of your Sunday to come and be interviewed for your game, Dr. Spacezoo. How
That's
we
my pleasure.
learned. Yeah, I love the title, How We Learned to Stop Shooting and Learn to Save the Animals. It's fantastic. I just want to give a little spot out there to our website for OPNoobs. We do game reviews, opinion editorials, and we run tournaments with our cohorts, Ethics Gaming. We have an E4I department, which stands for Esports for Indie. And a few months ago, we had a Red Solstice tournament that was extremely successful and had a great tournament turnout. And in the coming month, we're going to have a tournament for the game Verdun, the World War I first-person shooter. With that, I am Rob Kelly. We have Jesse from SmashRiot, and thank you everybody for watching.
Yeah, thanks for talking to me, Rob.